Bilingually Votre. I am your host, Louis Collat. I am with your host, David Cassius. And today we are going to talk to you about the power of one. David, could you explain to us what exactly is the power of one? What do we use it for?
Wow, the power of one. When we were thinking about which episode should we start this series, I was like, for sure, we're starting with this key concept in BNI. Essentially, it's a tool, it's a way, it's a retroaction of your BNI activity to see how engaged you are and if you're putting yourself in a position to get the most out of your BNI membership. So essentially, it's 5 key things, right? So we're talking about attendance, CUs, referrals, one-to-ones, and visitors. So these are the 5 key elements that if you're consistent and you do them at a certain level, and so like key numbers, key elements to address, you will be successful as a BNI member. So there you go.
Good. And so let's start with the first, our first concept, which are CEUs.
CEUs, yes.
So what are CEUs? Where can we get them from? And how many CEUs should we get per week, per month?
Yeah, so chapter education units. So the target we are aiming is 4 or once a week. And with BNI, there's so many ways you can get your CUs. The first one, the one that I preferred and got me to this point as a BNI member and now a BNI franchise owner is the podcast. So listening to the weekly podcast from Ivan Meisner, we're now over 800 episodes. For me, they were essential to be the more efficient networker. So that's my go-to medium when I'm consuming BNI content and getting my education. And even back in the days, you could, and still to this day actually, you can go on the website and select the subject. So let's say that your issue is with visitors. You go in, there's a specific folder on the different subject, and everything related to that topic, visitors, you'll have multiple podcasts about it. So it's a wonderful resource. Another one that we have is the books. So there's so many books that were written by Ivan Meisner, most of the time with a co-author to bring a different element. My favorite one is the 29% solution. There's others also that the most recent one, like the connector effect or Who Was in Your Room, that for me are classic. And even the older ones are loaded with nuggets, such as the gains profile comes from Business by Referral, written in 1997. You imagine? So these podcasts, I'm talking about the books, they're essential. And there's another platform that is exclusive to BNI members. It's called Business Builder. And on that, there's thousands and thousands of hours in multiple language, actually, to help you through your BNI journey. The first module actually should be completing is the Member Success Program. This one is an excellent program, an onboarding program. So there's all these different ways in terms of content. BNI is so content rich, and that's probably one of our biggest assets of how documented and structured we are taking our experience of 40 years of networking, referral marketing in those different mediums. So there's some for everyone. I know you have your perspective on how you're doing your CEUs, Louis.
Yeah, almost all of my CUs are done by podcast. Mm-hmm. This is a medium that I love to listen to, that I use a lot, not only for BNI, but just for my general entertainment personally. Mm-hmm. And what I love about podcasts is I always listen to them while doing something else. So for me, it's a way to make the most out of my time. Mm-hmm. So no, I never stop what I'm doing to only listen to a BNI podcast. So whether when I'm doing the dishes, when I had my dog, when I used to walk my dog, so those were good times to listen to podcasts, or when I have long commutes. also. So I remember going to Providence, Rhode Island for a conference for a business, and for 6 hours maybe I listened for 5.5 hours of BNI podcast. So I catched up on a lot. So I mean, I'm in my car. I'm not doing anything. I'm alone in my car, so I might as well try to get some education out of it. So try to find some. So those who like podcasts, try to find time where you're stuck doing something that is not necessarily the most fun you're having, and that don't require your total concentration, and make the best of it.
Yes, and the approach is that there's a lot of podcasts you'll be listening multiple times because there's always something fresh, something new that you're listening. Sometimes just with time and experience, you're getting a different perspective on that specific content. So this is the CEU, right? So 1 hour a week, 4 per month.
Per month, yep. Another aspect of the power of one on which we have total control of is attendance.
Yes, attendance.
So what should be the goal concerning attendance?
Like technically 100%.
There's no other way.
100%.
But there's maybe one caveat. If I cannot, for no matter what reason, I cannot personally attend a meeting 1 week, is there something that I can do?
Yes, you could get a sub. So an excellent sub is not another BNI member or next BNI member. It's a client, your partner, an employee, spouse, husband, family member, parent. So there's so many great choice, and for different timing. So let's say a last minute sub, it's going to be someone that is very close to me. I can call them an hour before. I can text them during the night that I can't make it. They'll be able to sub. And this is a big segue. This is why it's important to prepare in advance your presentations. So in terms of attendance, the aim, yes, for sure, it's 100%. It's going to happen in the 8 years that since I was a BNI, I started my BNI membership, I've been absent 3 times. And one of them was I was going to my BNI chapter, and my sister called me that I had to get to the hospital concerning my mom. And when I got there, that's where I learned that she passed. So it's one of the 3 times in 8 years that I wasn't in my BNI chapter. But for the rest, either because I'm traveling and etc., these things could be planned in advance. So it's so crucial because we measured it. And you guys know that I'm kind of a blue person. So from the DISC profile, analytical, and we've measured that, and it's in one of the podcasts. You're absent 1, 2, 3. Not once can happen. Once in the blue moon, 2, 3, 4 times during a 6-month period. Your probability or your capacity to get referrals, essentially your trust is impacted in the group. So that's one of the, sometimes for new members or people that are interested, leads that are interested in joining BNI, they'll be a little bit surprised. And then we give them the perspective that the attendance rules was set by members. Members decided on that policy because it's not fun. You're part of a group. There's maybe 200, 500 people that are registered that are typically member of your networking group. So I'm not talking about BNI specifically. And when you show up, there's always a small percentage of people that are there, or maybe for big events. In a BNI chapter, if you see 50, 30, 25% on the roster, you can expect that there's going to be that number and some visitors for sure. So with that in mind, there are some chapters that did it for a while. They were consistent for weeks at a time, months at a time with 100% attendance. And it had a major difference on thank you for closed business, referrals, and visitors. The energy that creates and that streak is something extraordinary. I've seen it in my chapter a few times. And I still remember to this day all these times when these things happen. So attendance, crucial. I know you have your take also on it.
Yeah, attendance. One of a saying that I love repeating is the way you do anything is the way you do everything, and it's I mean, I've seen it and it's true for other people. I always say it's true for me as well. If you'd ask 3 members of my chapters, 3 of my clients, 3 of my friends, 3 family members, give me 2 great things Louis does and 2 things Louis doesn't do so great, it would probably be the same thing all across the board. So the way you are in your chapter is probably the way you are in your business, is probably the way you are at home. So if you are present and you are prepared in your business, the best way to show it to your fellow members is by showing the same qualities in your chapter. So if you're on time in your business, then be on time during your meetings. If you attend, if you are present every day at work, so do the same thing in your BNI meeting. So the way you do anything is the way you do everything. To me, one of the main places that is observable and that you'll show to your fellow members is in the attendant column.
Yes.
Another aspect of the power of one that we have full control of is one-to-ones.
Oh, yes.
So for one-to-ones, briefly, what is a one-to-one and what would be the goal in the power of one?
So one-to-one is either in person, Zoom, phone. It's spending time with another member to know more about himself, his business, and ultimately how to refer his services. So what we're targeting, it's once a week, 1 a week, or for a month. So this is kind of the minimum, okay? The more you're comfortable, the more you know members in your chapter, and especially the more members of your power teams or contact sphere. So let's say that you are, such as yourself, you have the training center. So all the other professions that are related to health, so chiros, massage therapists, every professions that can help your actual client, the more you have them in your chapter, the more money you'll make, because at 50% of your referrals will come from your power team. So the bigger your power team, the more referral you'll get. And doing one-to-ones with member, we're so fortunate in BNI. We have so many tools and so many different mechanisms, such as the gains profile or the one-to-one planner that is available on our resource page. Starting by the gains profile gives a lot of context and about the person first, and then as you're doing the other one-to-ones, you get a little more into what does their ideal client is, or what are their key services, their ideal partners, and every one-to-one you get more insight into who that person is. So it's not something that we hear anymore, but the famous, oh, I did a one-to-one with you, so we're good. Thank God that doesn't exist anymore. In the chapter, you'll be doing multiple one-to-ones, and as the chapter grows bigger, you'll focus a little bit more with members of your power team. But these are some of the tools that we use to make one-to-ones always different and with a different spin and perspective. And even on BNI Business Builder and on the podcast, you'll have so many different ways to make efficient one-to-one. Recently, there was the podcast 834, Identify Your Ideal Client. So that's one that I love to use recently. And so doing one-to-one, it's the best way to be able to generate referrals for others and then participating in the group.
Yeah, if I could add something is, as you explained it, is to keep it business related, but also realize that BNI is based on relationships, on building relationships.
Yes.
So keep a focus on business, but you're also there to build relationships. So most of you haven't built a relationship in 1 hour. It takes, hopefully for you, it takes more than 1 hour to build a relationship with someone.
Mm-hmm.
So expect to have to do more than one-to-one, addressing different subjects, addressing it different ways. But yes, as you go along and as you meet that person, you will see that the depth of the relationship will increase, and you'll be able to give more referral to that person eventually. And the other way, also, that person probably will feel more comfortable and will have more tools in order to give you referrals.
Totally. Another aspect before we jump on with the other subject is one of the key elements in a BNI chapter or BNI group or in our philosophy is giver's gain. And in a group, if everybody starts off by giving referrals, everybody will get some. But if you're part of a networking group and everybody's waiting for referrals, nobody's getting it. And I know in the member success program that you give, you have many analogies. You have analogies for almost everything.
Almost everything, yeah.
Almost everything. And tell us a little bit about the potluck.
Yeah,
analogy.
the potluck. So basically, well, might as well jump to the referral part of the power of one. So for me, BNI is just like a potluck. So imagine you go to a potluck where basically everyone brings some food. So whether you're 10, 20, or 50 people attending, there always seems to be food for 20, 30 people more. So BNI for me is a potluck where what you bring are actually referrals. But there's one caveat. What you bring is for everyone but yourself.
Yes.
So if we think about it, there's only one person in the chapter to whom I cannot give a referral, is basically to myself. So in a potluck, imagine if we're 30 people attending the potluck. Nobody cooks for 30 people.
No.
Yet somehow we'll have food for 50, 60 people.
And then some.
Okay? So it's the same thing on BI. You don't have to bring referral for 30 people. But if you bring referral for 1, 2, 3, 4 people, and if everyone does that, we'll have way too many referral. And I don't think there's no such thing. There's no such thing as too many referrals. Okay. But imagine a potluck where you say, oh, you know what? I'll attend the potluck, but anyways, there's going to be too much food, so I'm not bringing anything. Around the table, someone might not have food.
Yes.
So the most important thing to make sure that everyone eats is everyone brings something. Don't worry about bringing something for everyone around the table. Okay, but bring something. The same way, if I bring food to a potluck, it's okay if everyone doesn't like my food. Someone will like it, and if everyone comes with the same mindset, we'll have food for enough people. So what should be our target?
So we're aiming at 1 referral per week for a month, and one-to-ones, the consequences are generating referral. So the more one-to-ones you do, the more referrals you'll be generating.
So we're at 1 referral per week. The next one, for which we also don't have as much control, and is, if I'm not mistaken, traditionally it's probably the one with which members have the most difficulty, is guests, visitors.
Yes.
So what is a guest? Was it a visitor? And what should be our target?
Actually, you would be better suited to make that explanation.
So basically, guest visitor is inviting someone that is not a BNI member to attend the meeting. So basically, to keep it as simple as that. And the number one challenge to avoid is, it seems counterintuitive, is do not invite someone in hoping that person becomes a member, or only if you think that person could become a member.
Yeah,
that is probably the thing. I know for me it is, okay. It's probably the thing that makes it harder for a member to invite, because we're always like, okay, is David might become a member? I don't know, because he has the kids in the
You're
morning.
pre-qualifying.
So maybe he doesn't have, and I don't know if it's business, so on Tuesday morning. So just invite hey, David, you know what? I have a business meeting on Tuesday morning. There are a few people that I like for you to meet. Are you available next Tuesday?
That's it.
That's it. Keep it as simple as well. And when you come there, you'll see you'll have 45 seconds in order to explain what you do. And then after that, we'll do educate. No, David.
That's too much already.
David, I have a few people that I'd like for you to meet. Are you available next Tuesday? So basically is giving the opportunity to two ways. Giving the opportunity for someone to discover what BNI is all about. Mm-hmm. So the goal of the weekly meeting is basically giving the opportunity to for guests, visitors to discover what BNI is all about. Mm-hmm. And also to give, it's another way to give, is to give to your fellow members of your chapter the opportunity to meet some people from your network. Mm-hmm. So it's sharing your network to your members, and it's sharing the BNI experience for the guest and the visitor.
Yes, totally. So this is so crucial. You know what? I'm one of the good ones in terms of inviting, because I just don't put pressure on myself. I invite, and like I said, like you said, the goal is just for them to discover what BNI is all about. The fact that they decide to join a BNI chapter, that's it's a business decision. My goal is for you to know what it is, meet other members, or the potential member of your power team, someone that has that is in a profession that is complementary to what you do. That's my whole perspective. So I invite at a high clip, and to get to my target of one visitor a month, I will reach out to anywhere close to 10 business people a month. There'll be about 4 or 5 that will confirm, 2 or 3 that will be present during the month, and then I'll continue to do my follow-ups. There's people, I'll talk to them about visiting my BNI chapter. They'll be like, okay, it's next week or in 2 weeks. They'll be there, and either they'll join, or either they'll be like, wow, thank you for the invitation. It was great. And that's essentially it. And there's other that I will be calling for 2 years, 3 years, and they'll eventually join. Like just recently, there's a member, there's someone that just joined. First time I told him about BNI was 3 years ago. So personally, for me, it's a fun process. It creates new life in the chapter. It makes the meetings interesting. When, let's say, your chapter of 20, 30, 40, 50, if in a month you have as many visitors as members, the chapter will grow. It's a very simple, basic equation. Out of my 100-some visitors that I had in the past few years since I joined BNI, so in 8 years, there's 13 of them that became member. That's it.
No one chooses for 100. No one chooses 100%. So that was something I remember when you first told me about that number, that somewhat that shocked me, because I had that perspective that everyone you're invited became a member somehow. I don't know why I thought that, and I think I'm probably not the only one who thinks that or thought that. Mm-hmm. But I remember when you told me that, I said, oh, okay, so you invited some people who didn't join. Yeah. So okay, so that's okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Essentially that's it. And there's some people that invited, they joined other chapter because it was closer to where they lived, or the days were better, etc. You never know the condition of the people that you're inviting. I'm doing this out of service. I was invited the same way, and BNI brought me so far. So for me, the mechanism of inviting, and we're getting better. We're definitely getting better in the region. The more we're inviting, the more we're making money. So another element about visitors is that how many tax lawyers are you meeting regularly in your week or in your month as a business owner? Not that much, right? Mm-hmm. Not so much. A chiropractor, if it wasn't for BNI, I would have never experienced what a chiropractor is and being open to new alternative medicines. that now overall my health is better. And this was all through visitors or member in my chapter that I learned what these wonderful and unique services are. So visitors is the lifeblood. The more there's more visitors that are coming to your chapter, essentially the more thank you for closed business you'll be generating. So that's another big element why we are. That's one of our targets, and the power of one is to bring one visitor a month.
Good. So let me get my pen there and take some notes. CUs 4.
Yep.
Okay. Attendance 100%.
Yes.
If I cannot attend,
A sub.
One-to-ones
4.
4 per month. Referrals
4.
4 per month. Visitors
1.
1.
Yep.
So you have your power of 1.
Yes.
That should be the goal. Once we achieve these numbers, what happens? Do I get a certificate? Do I get a gold star? Do I get my face printed as the employee of the month, a BNI member of the month? What does it mean?
It means that you're in the zone to give and refer and get referrals in BNI. So it means that you're active enough, you have created enough engagement to get the most out of your BNI membership. And it's something that you can start right off the bat as a brand new member, especially if you start as a brand new member, your first month, you're in the green and you keep that trend. The probability of you getting the most out of your membership, you'll eventually be one of those that is renewing. And we're so fortunate in BNI, we have a very high retention of our members. And the members that we have in our groups, they're engaged, they're active. It is not a you kind of join and you go there whenever you want or when you can show up. It's a priority for us because we're so busy as business owner. We want to make the most out of our referral marketing activity. So when you keep in mind the BNI membership is around $1,000, and so $1,000 to get an average $50,000, $100,000 in some other parts is actually, if you ask me, it's a very good return on investment. So the power of one is just a measure for you to make sure that you are getting and you're using the BNI system, because at the end of the day, it's a system that was built on over 40 years across 76 countries. So it's a universal way of doing business. It's all based on trust, like you said earlier. So doing the power of one, it's one of your goals. It's your aim to be in that zone, to be in the green, and that's essentially the why we wanted to start with this as our first podcast.
Another thing I'd like to add what you just said, David. First of all, if you're not in the green, if you're in gray, red, yellow, try to aim to gain one color at a time.
Yes.
Try to jump from red to green is extremely hard. Try to go from red to yellow.
Yes.
Okay. One from yellow to green, from gray to red. Mm-hmm. So one color at a time. Also, the power of one is not a repression tool.
No.
Sometimes we feel that the number is there, so our director can come and slap you on the wrist. So because you're not in the proper color, it's actually a tool to help chapters and to help members.
Yes.
So it's a way to analyze what is going on. So if a chapter has difficulty, what is the first place that we can help that will have the most impact on the chapter success? So I say, the number that is really down is attendance. So we'll insist on attendance. And we know that if we insist on attendance, a lot of things will be impacted by improving attendance. Yes. The attendance is great, but we don't have enough one-to-ones. Mm-hmm. So we won't talk about attendance if it's not a problem. We'll insist more about doing one-to-ones, very efficient one-to-ones to generate more referrals.
Yes.
Or we're the attendance is great, the one-to-ones are great, the referrals are not quite there. So probably it's not the number of one-to-ones, but it's the quality of one-to-ones.
Yes.
So it's actually a tool for the support team that we have to help members, to help the chapter. Same thing on an individual level. So I say, okay, Louis, your referrals are great, your one-to-ones are great. You don't have many guests, so I won't talk to you about referrals or about doing effective, efficient one-to-ones. I say, hey, go meet with this person who has a lot of guests and visitors. Try to ask him some tips or listen to this podcast, read this book.
Yes.
So it's those numbers are there to help. Those numbers are not there, and sometimes we feel that pressure. Oh, my numbers are not quite there. The numbers they're used to help members and not to slap member or the
to
wrist
put you down.
No,
That's
no.
not at all the perspective.
So that's one thing that for me I feel it's important, because sometimes as a member we're scared of stats, but they're there to help.
Yes.
They're there to help.
They are.
Good. So that's pretty much it for our first episode of Bilingually Votre. So I am your host, Louis Collat. I'm with your host, David Caceres, and we're looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.